So I really enjoy doing device reviews and talking about life with amputation, living with amputation. But at Mobility Prosthetics, we have a lot of really amazing patients that are doing amazing things. And so I wanted to find a way to highlight them. And this first one that we're doing is on a pretty cool lady named Brenda Keating. She lives down in Moab, and we'll go through, just a little bit of her walking around in sand so you can kind of see what she does and get some of her tips and tricks and hear kind of her perspective. And it was really it was a fun day and a fun conversation to kind of get perspective from somebody that's lost their leg more recent than I have, and maybe some of the things that they were worried about are more fresh in their mind. And she was really insightful, and I really enjoyed talking with her. And I think that all of us could gain value from the conversation and kind of the tips that she had. And also, if you're a mobility prosthetics patient and you're seeing these videos, because we're so spread out, I wanted to create a way to still have some of that community. A lot of amputees meet other amputees in their prosthetic office, and because we're a mobile company, we don't see as many of you guys in here. And so I wanted to create a way for us all to all get to know each other. And Brenda was super gracious with her time and helping me out and helping me get this first one done. So this is Brenda Keating, and I think that she's got a pretty cool insight and a pretty cool story.
My name is Brenda. So in 2017, I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, bone cancer. Went through all the treatment, the chemo, the surgery. They gave me the beautiful hardware. Everything was great. And then I developed some metal sensitivity to the hardware that they put in me. Went through several different types of hardware, ceramic coating. That one I got about 2 years before my body rejected it. So I think I had a total of maybe 7 or 8 surgeries before I decided to go with an amputation. Looking back, I don't have any regrets on it. I developed a lot of soreness in my shoulders from all the cobalt and the nickel, the inflammation. So it was the right decision for me. I think the best piece of advice is interview multiple prosthetists. Explain your goals, what the treatment plan they will have for you, options for different types of sockets, legs, feet, their availability to answer questions, uh, what concerns you have going through the whole process. I didn't realize it then. I thought that, oh, it's just going to be, they're going to give me a leg, give me a socket, and then I'll be on my own. It's turned out to be a very long relationship, and it's not over yet. Some of the prosthetists that I interviewed were limited on the types of sockets and legs and feet that they could provide me, and I wanted something outside of their normal um, supply chain. I wanted a Martin socket, and I found Brian. He's certified to do the Martin socket. So I did a lot of research on different types of legs and feet and stuff like that. And I knew that I was going to push the boundaries and not be put into a box.
It's important to not be pigeonholed into certain things, right? And I think that does happen sometimes where we just end up like, this is what I was given, and that's kind of what you end up with. And it's not like the prosthetist's fault even. It's just sometimes we don't even know that there's more options, and understanding that you have options and being an advocate for yourself is important so that you learn all of that.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you advocate for yourself not only with your prosthetist, your doctor, but also with the insurance companies. Don't just punt it to whoever is billing. You have to be proactive in understanding what your insurance is going to cover, establishing realistic goals, knowing that you're going to have to pay. If there's something out of the norm, you're probably going to have to pay for it, and you're well worth it. I mean, start putting, put money aside, don't go into debt, but your quality of life is so important. And, working hard, your prosthetist can help you uh, connect with the right physical therapist. And you're not just going to go to a physical therapist once. I call it a boot camp because I have to go up to Salt Lake to see the special um, PT up there, and it's usually a week, and I'm paying out of pocket for my hotel room. I try to cut, the expense by packing all my meals and, cutting corners. But I call it I'm going up to Brenda Boot Camp, and they tweak my program, and they also, what I think is more beneficial is they'll see where I'm compensating or I'm cheating and I'm developing bad habits. So those early on, I think it's important to go in and work with them. Don't think that, oh, I see them one time and that's it. You keep going back, and as you get stronger, they'll refresh your home exercise program or your gym exercise program, and just, give you some ideas, and then they can document, and that information can go to your insurance company to help you get what you need. So my surgery was in end of December on the 28th. I think anybody that has surgery like that, you'll remember it for the rest of your life. um, I was dismissed on Friday, from discharged from the hospital on Friday. That was a holiday weekend, and I was back at the gym on Tuesday, on the rowing machine. I had my cast on there, and doing arm exercises, sit ups, the captain's chair, leg lifts. Just, I think, getting back to a normal routine. And if you're not into a normal routine, do it slowly. And the people there were, people I knew, and they were all very supportive, and just said, "Hey, you're looking good. You're motivating me. There's no, just, you got to do that and get. It helps to get the natural endorphins released, and you just feel like you've accomplished something. Even if you just go down there for 15 minutes, just getting to the gym can be a chore. But once you get there, it's really hard not to just get a good workout in.
Yeah, yeah,
Tricks for getting the socket
yeah.
on. Uh, Early on, when I got my first leg with a real socket, I had to go to a friend's family funeral, so I picked up my leg and then drove over to Vancouver, Washington. And I think 2 days of sitting in the car, I packed some healthy stuff, but we ran out of healthy stuff, and then we started eating like fast food. So the salt intake just went up. And so I got to my friend's house where we were staying, and he wanted to see me walk and everything, and things just were not working. It was just a hot mess. And I texted Brian. I was so like, it's not working. The legs up. What do I, and he just, he called me. It was like 8 o'clock at night. And he's like, Brenda, just calm down. Take the leg off. Put it back on tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. And I'll call you and we'll video conference and see what's going on. And that's what it was. I put it on the next morning. Everything was fine. But to me, that was like I was on that steep learning curve, because I wasn't like sitting at home. I was, sometimes you just have to go.
Yeah.
And and again, that goes back to interviewing your prosthetists. How available are they to help on that learning curve?
For sure.
And Brian did tell me, he goes, anything happens, you don't feel comfortable, he says, text me, call, whatever. If I'm not available, one of the other prosthetists will be able to help you walk through. We have meetings and we talk about everybody, so everybody's in the loop on what's going on. So I'm 2 years and 4 months out, and I think I just hit my stride at 2 years. I was going to the gym and I was riding a bicycle, the stationary bicycle, and then, riding a regular bike on paved surfaces with a magnetic clip. And now I'm like, okay, I just want to go for a bicycle ride around the neighborhood. I feel more free, more confident. I think that 2 year mark is you're building up all the muscles that you need, and it takes time. Understanding the mechanics of the leg, they've got the knee flexion lock. I'm just now starting to use it because before it was so cumbersome. There was just so much sensory input throughout my whole body that I just couldn't get it consistently. And now I'm doing it, rather than, bend at the waist to pick stuff up, I can actually squat because I've got the strength in my residual limb that will help support me. And I just didn't have it, you know, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think that I kind of stumbled upon, because we should all go back to a normal life as much as we can, and that's you know going to life events, family events, whether it's a wedding or funerals or birthday parties or anniversaries or just a vacation, trying to figure out that whole thing. I found some forearm crutches that if you're getting on a plane, you can pop the button and they'll collapse, and they actually fit inside my suitcase. Um, and that is like golden, because it's not like this big bulky thing like regular crutches. And I use regular crutches in the house at night before when I take my leg off in the evening before I go to bed, or taking a shower and stuff like that. But the forearm crutches, they're compact. Takes a little work to trust them and trust yourself on them. But that's probably one of the fun little things that gave me a lot of freedom. I've always been one of those people that kind of helps people, and I still do. If I see somebody on one of those little electric, scooter things, and you know, I understand energy conservation, and there's times when I, it's nice to have the help. I don't get it as much now, and I think it's because I'm walking more confident and I'm stronger. When I first had my surgery, probably for the first 9 months, people were offering, can I help you? And they'd always ask, and I'm like, oh, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm feeling, refreshed, or I'm strong. My gas tank is still full. And I tell them, I said, thanks, but I'm good. But you know what? If you saw me at 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, I'd probably take you up on that, because my tank is going to eat.
That's not a bad way to put it.
And little kids, they come up and they're curious, and if I have the time, I'll say, I'll explain it to them. As much as they ask the questions, I answer it age appropriate and stuff. And I just think maybe our conversation might spark an interest in some kind of bioengineering for the future, and they might make a breakthrough because of an interaction we had. But also setting your limits. If you've got to be somewhere, or you're just having a bad day, because we all have bad days, whether we're able-bodied or not. Just say, I'm on a tight schedule. If you see me again, I'd be happy to talk to you.
Yeah.
Well, my body language and my facial expression are very clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he is really good at reading my body language and then communicating, so that I'm not snapping at him. It just doesn't feel, I'm not going to be on my game today. I just need a little more help today, or just give me a little space. I'm okay. And, and if I'm still in that funk on day 2 or day 3, he tells me to get out of my head. But our communication is definitely improved. You don't want that snappy stuff at each other.
Right.
He now knows that not to ask if I need help. I will ask for help.
Yeah.
Whether it's meal prep, we try to do large batches so that we're not constantly cleaning up the kitchen, and we'll freeze some stuff. So just, we're eating home cooked, but it's just we're doing batch cooking.
Right.
I think they've been great. They, Brian came, he saw me in the hospital, called and said, hey, can I come by and visit? And this was when I was on the early stage of trying to decide which prosthetist to go with. And, he comes down to where I live. It's about a 4-hour drive for me to go up to Salt Lake. And then the next closest town is about an hour and a half. So it really took a lot of pressure off of me, fatigue, wear and tear on my car, my body. To this day, I don't know how Brian and his staff drive all over the place, because it's a lot. And the quality of care that they give, I don't ever feel like he's rushed when he comes to visit. He allows ample time, but with that, if he's going to be late because he's spending more time with another patient, he'll text and let me know. And I would want the person following me to be understanding that, hey, he's giving time to address some issues that maybe weren't planned for.
Yeah.
And then when I am up in Salt Lake, I call him and he'll make time, to do a quick check, make sure everything's lined up, or if he has to put some padding in something or smooth out something. They've always been able to get me in, just as a quick visit. But we do argue a little bit. He'll want to move my foot a certain way, and I'm like, no, I want it this way. And there's a compromise, he hears me, I hear him.
Yeah.
And it's a relationship. The front office, they've all been great in taking calls, or when I go into the office, they're all very pleasant. They know my name before, the billing department, they've been great to work with, good communication on when things are being submitted, and then I can check on the insurance on my end to see what's been approved, hasn't been approved, if it's been denied. I can be an advocate for myself and call the insurance company and communicate to the billing department, hey, this is what I've petitioned, so we're expediting, we're not waiting months at a time. You have to be on it. You have to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
So they've been really great to work with. I can't imagine going with anybody else. One of my concerns was, again, traveling. Legs are going to break. Sockets are not going to work the way they're supposed to work. And I was traveling and my leg broke very early on. Called Brian, and we worked through some stuff, and it didn't resolve the issue. He lined up, he got a loaner leg sent to a prosthetist near me. He coordinated a time for me to get in, get it changed out. So going with a private organization or business, I was a little nervous at the beginning, but it's all worked out, the changing out the legs and everything. So don't be nervous about that. And having options on not the mainstream legs or sockets. I think I have a little bit more freedom to ask for things that are not, again, the mainstream products. If you want to be out here a little bit, I think they did an awesome job getting stuff for me that I needed. Let's see. Which way do I now go here? We got some weeds here to take care of. And weeding forces me to get on uneven terrain. And this is a hoolie hoe. I love my hoolie hoe because I don't have to bend over and pick anything up. Just do what you can, and if you need help, you ask for help. I think we expect insurance to pay for everything, and you got to fight the insurance companies, but you also have to invest in yourself. And if a piece of equipment is going to allow you to get in the water or do something, invest in yourself. You're worth it. I'm worth it.
Totally.
Just ask me, I'll tell you.
So that's Brenda Keating. As you guys can see now, she's a pretty cool lady, and she really has an attitude that is can do, which as an amputee, like, it's important to have that. And it doesn't mean, she talks in there about how she has bad days and tries to make up for those bad days and tries to do things for herself, but it is about the outlook that you have, and if you can start to shape that outlook from an early point after your amputation, I think it helps. I think some things that are important to reiterate that she talked about. First things first, she says it at the beginning, she says it a few times through there, but you are worth it. It's worth it whether it's money, it's worth it whether it's advocating for yourself and calling insurance companies and doing all the things that you can. You are worth it, and it's worth putting the effort in physically, emotionally, mentally to get the things that you need. Another thing that I thought was pretty cool and that I've seen in myself and with other people around is, she talked a lot about right after her amputation, she tried to get into a routine, and that was physical for her, right? I need to physically go to the gym and try. And she said sometimes just getting to the gym, just getting dressed and getting to the gym was that for her some days. And I think that it's important to understand that having some sort of routine is key to just giving you purpose, to helping you stay mentally engaged throughout your days. When you go through an amputation, you're oftentimes spending a lot of time in a bed, and so being able to, even if you're in that bed, setting a routine of okay, well, at least I get up and I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, I take a shower, I get dressed, and then I go and rest for a little bit longer. Setting those routines as early on and giving yourself kind of a daily plan really makes a big difference. She also talked about she looks at her physical therapy as Brenda Boot Camp, and she knows she's been 2 years now and she still comes up and goes to therapy. And is that something that we all need to be doing? Do we need to be doing PT that far out? Not unless you want to and can make that happen or have worked really hard in the beginning. Some of us still are doing PT, and there's always other things that come into play. And in Brenda's case, she's working really hard to stay on top of her fitness and make sure that her gait is in good shape. And so it's important to understand that PT is a long process. And then she also kind of said, she's about 2.5 years out, and it was about a few months ago that she started to really feel confident. And I feel like that 2-year mark is a good kind of line that a lot of people start to feel like, oh, okay, this is how it all goes. And by 2 years, you've probably been into a few different sockets, and so you're understanding your prosthetic and how it works, how you maintain things. And so I think 2 years is really kind of a good mark to be like, okay, now I'm feeling pretty good now. And again, she lives down in an area where she's walking in sand all day, every day. I hate walking in sand. We walked around in her yard a little bit, and you can see she's working hard to do that, but it really is, that's where she wants to be. Those are the things that she enjoys doing, and so it brings her happiness, and she makes it work for herself. And I think that is the most important thing that we all can learn from Brenda is, one, you are worth it. And I love hearing her say that. You're worth it, we're all worth it, and we're worth it from ourselves, to give ourselves what we need and get what we need, and be where you want to be, but then also kind of keeping that positive mindset, and even on bad days you try to find a way to move forward is what it's about. And so I think that we can all learn a little bit from Brenda's perspective, and it was really fun to do this with her, and I hope that I get to do more in the future. So we'll see you next time for the next Patient Insight. Thanks.